Hey friends, it's Peggy Hall here. I am outside of our County Board of Supervisors Hall of Administration, where I just spent a couple of hours watching and participating in the meeting. And I wanted to share a couple of things with you about how local government works and about how you can learn more about it so that you can get things done in the way that you want to. Every locality, every county or municipality has a local public health officer. This local public health officer is the person who is issuing orders that are running your life, and they are completely illegal and unlawful. I have done a lot of research into public law regarding public health, and I want to explain something, at least as it exists in California, and likely it exists the same way in your state. So I just want to kind of start from the beginning and go from the ground up, because many passionate people are asking me how things work and what they can do. Public health was intended in the history to safeguard the public in case of a toxic waste spill or contamination in the public water, or maybe there was an earthquake and then there were a lot of people that needed medical care on a moment's notice. And so in an emergency, which is defined by California law as imminent and proximate threat. Imminent means like at hand, and proximate means immediate. So in the immediate moment, something needs to be done and there's no time to make a law. The person has to use their best judgment to safeguard the public. So let's say that there was a meth lab explosion in the neighborhood and they could order everybody outside of that neighborhood, leave your home and go. Now these local emergencies can only last for 7 days. And after 7 days, they need to be ratified or approved by a governing body. In where I live in Orange County, that governing body is the Orange County Board of Supervisors. In smaller areas, it might be your city council. But I want to make this clear. The public health officers who are unelected public officials who have been appointed to their positions, they do not have free rein to make law. They do not have free rein to issue orders that are not overseen and approved by a governing board. So after 7 days, their public orders regarding an emergency have to be ratified, which means approved by a governing agency. So in Orange County, on February 25th, there was a local health emergency declared by our public health officer. And a few days later, on March 4th, so that would have been, 7 days later, it was approved or ratified by our Board of Supervisors. Now here's where it gets interesting. Those local orders can only last for 30 days. We are now 3.5 months past February 25th. So it's been 3.5 months that these local orders were made, and they expire by law in 30 days. Therefore, if you can do the math with me, this local emergency in Orange County is invalid and unlawful, and I imagine it's the same in your area. The state emergency, which was called a state of emergency in California, expired after 60 days. And that's when our governor introduced these phases, which it was hilarious at the meeting today, because the Board of Supervisors were like, what phase are we in? Is this phase 2 or 3 or what's in They don't even know what's going on. And when they questioned the health officers don't even know what's going on. And they even questioned the governor, and the governor's office does not know what's going on. That's no surprise to you. But what I want to explain is where the power is. We spoke today to inform the Board of Supervisors that they cannot allow this local state of emergency to continue without voting on it. And there were countless people giving testimony as to how harmful all of the mandates that come from the local emergency, including the forced separation, the stay at home, and the wearing of masks, all of those orders emanate from this local emergency. So we went before the board to demand that they terminate the local emergency because it is not lawful. The evidence that this is just so funny to me, I can't believe it. We have two stooges. You've heard of the three stooges. We have two stooges. Chow, who is a criminal, he took money from the pharmaceutical companies when he was working as a mental health doctor, writing prescriptions for these medicines that he was being paid to do so. And yeah, he was fined and he had to pay his money. So he was, that was he was guilty of that. He's the chief officer, stooge number one. And stooge number two is Nicole Quick, who doesn't even show up to the meetings. She calls in by phone. And they are breaking California law because our Board of Supervisors requested information from them. And I have it right here. It's in the California Health and Safety Code, and there is a section number 107, I will email it, 12017.5 states that health officers are required by law to provide relevant information in support of their actions to their governing board. And this governing board kept asking, where's the data? Where's the science? What are you basing it on? And over and over and over, and you can watch these, the video of it if you want, they kept saying, well, we can't really talk about that. We've been discussing, but we can't really share. They're breaking the law. They're breaking the law. And further, they are breaking the law by declaring a local emergency based on this. Get this, their grounds for a local emergency is that there is no vaccination for this illness. That's not an emergency. It's not an emergency by law, because by California law, and you probably know this as well as I do now because I've been teaching about it, Section 8558 of the California Emergency Services Act states that a local emergency can only be called in the case of an imminent and proximate threat of an introduction of a disease, of a communicable disease, an infectious disease. This disease was introduced in February because it was declared as such in Orange County. It might be different where you live. So therefore, it's certainly not an emergency because it was 2.5 months ago. So they're breaking that law. They're breaking the law that a vaccine is not valid as grounds for a state of emergency. They're breaking the law that they are not providing relevant information to the board. And they're also breaking California Civil Code 51, which states I have free access to any business and I don't have to wear a mask. They are breaking so many laws, and the board knows it. And today they know it because we called them on it and told them that they cannot allow a local emergency to continue without the board's approval. The board approved it. The board approved the continuation of the unlawful and illegal local state of emergency. Now, people are getting wise to this. There is a lawsuit against the San Diego health officers and likely against their Board of Supervisors. There is a lawsuit about to go in Gainesville, Florida, against their I don't know the name of their county, but it's in Florida. And this is going to be coming across the country. So whether they voted to terminate this today or not, you know what, as my sister tells me, we're in a 10-round fight, and this is like round 2, and we are not stopping. So I will be emailing those who would like to help, and we are going to put pressure on these supervisors to call a special meeting where they are going to terminate these unlawful, illegal orders, the state of emergency and all the local emergency and all of the orders that emanate from it. It's obvious that the masks have no evidence behind it, and even the supervisors know that. Why they didn't vote against this, I'm going to ask them about that, and I'm going to demand an answer. And I would demand an answer, and I hope you will too. The next thing is I'm going to investigate the legal action, because there must be a way to, the Board of Supervisors are breaking these laws as well. So by upholding and ratifying this unlawful local emergency, they are complicit in this illegal activity. So I'll be going to our district attorney, and I will also be going to the attorney for the board, and I'm going to have him answer for this, because we know, and everybody's emailing me here, which I love seeing these comments, there's not one shred of evidence. Even if there was a ton of evidence in favor of wearing masks, you know what? You can't compel that because there is no local emergency. These local emergencies were not designed to enforce new, they're called health behaviors, right? Like not smoking, that's like a health behavior. Wearing a mask, that's an anti-health behavior. You know, washing hands, all of these regulations they have when you go into public restrooms, they have signs up there for you to wash your hands. These are the things that come from the public health department. but they are not lawful when they are imposed upon the public with no grounds. Now, even if there were grounds that, wearing a mask is a good thing or whatever, it's not lawful. There's no law that backs that. I went a little bit long today, you guys. I just wanted to give you encouragement. And for those of you that are emailing and asking, what can I do? I work in a place of business and they make me wear a mask. Go to your doctor, get a medical exemption. Do not submit. Do not submit. Wearing a mask is a sign of submission. It is a sign of oppression. It is a sign of fear. I drove through Santa Ana. I did an earlier live. Everything's boarded up. These places are closed. And there are people walking around with masks on. How do you think that makes me feel? Yes, I'm intimidated by people wearing a mask. How do I not know they're not the evildoers? This whole push to remove personal identity from the public is beyond demonic. Now, I don't know if you believe in heaven and hell and all that, but you know what? You believe in evil and wrongdoing and darkness, and this is exactly what it is. And they are not going to stop at the mask mandate. Next, you will not be able to go to Costco without a vaccination. Now, I have on my website thehealthyamerican.org, where if you live in Orange County, you can print out the Orange County public health orders. You take those to the store with you. You don't say a word. Do not talk to the mask. If someone has a mask on, you say, oh, mask, I can't hear, no, mask. And you make them take the mask off. You do not talk to anyone. This is just my advice. Obviously you do what you want, but I do not talk to anyone with a mask on. I make them take the mask off because I can't hear them. And it's offensive to me. So you want to talk to me, you take off the mask. And then once you take off the mask, you read what the public orders are. I'm not going to read them to you. You read them to me in your own words, and you see where I don't have to wear a mask. And that is the end of my rant for today. You guys are awesome. You know what? So many of you showed up because you are standing with me, and I admire you. What you said today was amazing. Everybody brought their own experience, their own voice, their own approach, and that's what they need to hear. We are making an impact, evidenced by the fact that this even got on the agenda today, and it needs to get on the agenda again, and we are going to put a stop to this once and for all. Join me as we stand for truth and freedom. God bless you guys, and I will see you very soon.